Well, good morning, one and all. We're just hours away to the commencement of round number 4 in the 2024 Betfred Super League. I, for one, am very, very much looking forward to this weekend. We put the vote out to the fans form. What was your game of the week? You chose the Robins against the Wire tonight at 8 o'clock. That's why it's game of the week. It was up against some stern competition. The Lee Leopards going up against the Leeds Rhinos this weekend, and Castleford against Huddersfield. Other mouth-watering games, but it's all about the Robins and the Wire. Let's take a look at the Betfred Super League. Here it is. And as you can see, the Warrington Wolves sitting third with 2 wins. The Robins in fifth with 2 wins. The Robins got off to a great start to the season. Of course, back-to-back wins for them against the Hull FC and, of course, the Leeds Rhinos, losing last week to a brilliant Salford Red Devils inspired by Mark Sneed. As for the Warrington Wolves, of course, they got off to a defeat against the Catalan Dragons in round number 1, but has since then had 2 home games back-to-back at the Halliwell Jones. The Castleford Tigers and Hull FC have been dispatched there. There's no doubt about it. Last year, these 2 teams served up quite a treat in the Super League when they last met at Craven Park. Like I said, a brilliant game, that one at Craven Park last year. A lot of the players that shone that night, Darryl Clark, of course, for the Warrington Wolves, McKaylee, of course, Matty Nicholson won't be playing in this one due to his injury. And on the other side, both tries that night scored by Frankie Holton, who, of course, now he applies his trade at the Lee Leopards. So a lot of the players that shone that evening not playing this year. One player who did have a fine game on that night in round 4 last year was George Williams, and he has been selected in the squad for the Warrington Wolves for this weekend. They are the 2 squads for this game. So great news for Warrington that George Williams is back. Connor Wrench is also in the Warrington Wolves squad, albeit we don't think he will be risked this week. That, of course, may be disproved on the night. Geordie Crowther also back from suspension. As for the Robins, well, they've got quite a decent lineup indeed. Not too many problems. Pretty much fully full strength squad going into this afternoon's or this evening's game. Who do we think is going to start then for both sides? We've had our best shot at this. These are our predicted lineups, starting at fullback for Hull KR. We expect, of course, Petter Hiku to be there. Will Nile Levels return? Joe Burgess was played last week against his former club, the Solva Red Devils. Did he do enough to keep a spot this week, or will the two try-scoring man, Mr. Nile Levels, return? We think Evans will return. Opachik, Oliver Gildart, Ryan Hall, of course. Then Tyrone May and Mikey Lewis in the halves. Up front, Jai Whitbread and George King with Matt Parcell. Yes, we've gone Parcell over Jeslett, and we think this will be a real war of attrition to begin with, hence the reason why we've gone Parcell and Powell when we get there for Warrington in the starting lineups, with the little bit of zip and flair of Jeslett and Danny Walker coming off the bench. Like I say, we could be wrong, but this is how we think it may be. Dean Hadley, Kalepi Tanginoa, and the captain, Elliot Minchella, for the Robins. On the bench, like we've already said, Jeslett and Sam Luckley. James Batchelor, of course, returns, and also Matty Staunton. As for the Warrington Wolves, fullback Mac Duffy, we expect on the wings, Josh Fulis and Matty Ashton. Ashton, a great brace last week against the Castleford Tigers. Toby King and Stefan Ratchford to retain his place at centre. He had a fine game, Ratchford, against Castleford Tigers. And like I say, Connor Wrench, maybe not risk this week, given an extra week to recover, albeit he is in the 21-man squad. It'll be interesting to see if Ratchford does keep his place. We believe he may do exactly that. George Williams hopefully will return for the Warrington Wolves, and Leon Hayes will be his partner this week. No Josh Drinkwater. He is not selected in the 21-man squad after going off with an injury against Castleford. The front row, James Harrison, who's having a fine season for the Warrington Wolves, Powell, like we've already said, and Paul Vaughan. In the second row, we do expect Ben Curry to be shifted back into the second row after a brilliant loose forward display against Castleford, with Lachlan Fitzgibbon, with Geordie Crowther returning at loose forward. On the bench, Joe Philby, Danny Walker, as we've already mentioned, Zane Musgrove, and we also expect Max Wood to keep his place on the bench. Wood at the moment is in fine form for the Warrington Wolves and probably deserves to keep his spot on the bench. One thing's for certain, we're going to be treated this evening. Two incredible young talents gracing the field of play. Mikey Lewis needs no introduction. He's played all 3 games this season for Hull KR. He scored a try, 3 assists, 10 tackle busts, 1 clean break, and he's attacking kick 16, kicks in general play 28. 1 game less, of course, for Leon Hayes, but he is making a mark. He was very, very good indeed against the Castleford Tigers, with some putting him as man of the match in that game. I think that was the Albert Goldthorpe. He's played the 2, yet to score or assist, 2 tackle busts, no breaks at the moment, and 3 attacking kicks, 11 kicks in general play for Leon Hayes. So there's a bit of a difference there in terms of those 2 plays, but believe you me, Leon Hayes is the real deal. He's someone that you really should be keeping an eye on. This is going to be a fascinating contest between 2 up-and-coming young talents. Oh, Super League, what an incredible, incredible league we have got. Right, on Super League Raw Weekly, we discussed with Steph Sale and Greg Nixon this game, the game of the week, and this is what we had to say.
Love that crunch.
Let me add a little bit of spice.
Yes, thanks again to our sponsors, Rugby League 3/4, the online community. If you like your bets, you like to, discuss the odds and ACCAs and all the rest of it, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But if you're into that type of thing, get yourself over to Rugby League 3/4 and enjoy a bit of friendly banter with like-minded people. Right, the round 4 fixtures, here they are, starting on Thursday with the Robins taking on the Wolves. Then it's Saints against the Red Devils. The Tigers entertain the Giants. The Leopards go up against the Rhinos. The Broncos go up against the Warriors, and finally it will be the Dragons who take on Hull FC. A really tasty lineup there of games this weekend. We're looking forward to each and every one of those, gentlemen, aren't we?
Oh yes, as ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, we put a poll out. What was what was going to be the game of the week, which was game of the week, and the majority of fans forum polled that the top game, the Robins and the Wolves, was going to be this week's game of the week. So the game of the week will be uploaded. The full analysis show will be uploaded on Thursday morning, well before the kickoff at 8 o'clock. Make sure that you catch that on all of our social media channels, Twitter, YouTube, and of course Facebook before the game. Deep dive the analysis for this one. But here we go. This is it. Thursday, head to head. Last season, 4th, of course, and 6th respectively. But it was good news for the Wire. They did the double over Hull KR last year. If you remember, in round 4, Warrington went to Hull KR, really good game, 18 points to 10. That was the game where Frankie Holton, I think, had a belter against us, Greg, if you remember. And then round 12 at Halliwell, 21-14. But believe you me, at half-time, Hull KR were, without doubt, the team in form. If I remember, I think it might be Matt Parcell got a yellow card, and the game turned at the Halliwell Jones.
He did, yeah.
Right, current league positions. Warrington 3rd, Hull KR 5th. The game odds, 8-15 on our Hull KR, 8-5 the Wire. Of course, Hull KR 2 wins and a loss, Warrington a loss and 2 wins. And the players that I've just pointed out there on the graphic, we'll probably look at these in a bit more detail as part of Game of the Week. Petter Hiku, who's had a mixed fortune in his since coming back to England. Undoubted quality, but he has cost his team in the last 2 games by, of course, being shown a yellow card. And Leon Hayes. I mean, Leon Hayes against Mikey Lewis, that in itself, 2 young British halfbacks. It's going to be fantastic to see that this week. Before you come in, just to confirm, the Robins appear to be going into this full strength. George Williams is back in the 21-man squad of Warrington. Whether he plays or not is another issue. Geordie Crowther, as Greg said a moment ago, he's back as well in contention. No Drinkwater, no Wrench, no Ty, no Nicholson, no Thomas. So that's how they come into it. Greg, as it's Warrington, we'll start with you. This should be a belting game. Hopefully the pitch is a bit better than it was when Leeds went to town, and hopefully a really entertaining kickstart to round number 4, mate.
Yeah, do you know what? This is one of those games that I've been to and fro-ing with. Hull KR are full strength. We've got a couple of players out, but I'm hoping that George Williams is back to full fitness. And I'm hoping that Sam Burgess plays Williams and Hayes together. And that's why I've gone for a Wire win, 1-8. I think it'd be close. And this isn't heart over head. I think the last 2 performances for Wire, they've been real. They've ground out wins. They've soaked up a lot of pressure, and then they've come away with the game at the end of it. Yeah, the first home game, they had a dodgy red card. But Castleford played really well for the first 20 minutes, and Wire adapted to what was being thrown at them. I've not seen a Warrington team do that for a long, long time. And as Kev says, if Williams doesn't play, it has to be Ratchford, and that's where my prediction might go. But then we get Ratchford.
Oh, no, hang on. Can I just...
let me finish. Then we get the kicking from Ratchford.
No. That wasn't where I was going. Don't be surprised if you put Sam Powell in the halves, mate.
Well, he might do. He very well might do. And if he does that, then again, I'll go for a Wire win, because I think Sam Powell controls the game really well. I know Steve says he fears the Wolves will get a hide, and I kind of, a couple of weeks ago when I looked at this, I thought, do you know what? That's going to be a real tough game, a real embarrassment. I think it's going to be an arm wrestle, but I think that Wire will win 1-8.
A tight one.
Yeah.
Gary Schofield, he actually sees it KR 9-17, a comfortable win for KR, it has to be said. Joel sees it KR 1-8. He sees it a bit tighter. So too do the fans for him. They're going 1-8 for KR. So, not an awful lot in it here. Steph, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it will depend on how Hull KR reacts from the Salford loss, and how they, they take that as a team. Obviously, they're on the home patch as well, which, we know they're strong at home. The crowd for them is massive there, and the atmosphere and everything like that. I like the way Warrington are building. I think I've said it a few times now in terms of very impressed with Burgess, how he's coming across in his press conference. They seem to be slowly building momentum, and I think people are starting to find the place. I think the halfback's going to be crucial for Warrington. I think getting Williams back with Hayes was massive if that happens. But I'm a bit more optimistic for Wire, and I'm going to go for Wire 1-8 on this one.
Yeah, you're going a tight one, Wire 1-8. You can see there in the chat, Lee Partington, our new member, he's going Wire 1-8. Connor Pickavance, he's gone Hull KR 18 plus on YouTube. Good evening, Connor. Ryan Birch 1-8 for the Wire. Bit of love there for Wire. I'm going Wire. It might bite me this one, but I think Warrington are just steadily building. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Warrington steadily build. I think they'll go and improve again this week. I think they have to improve again this week. I think KR is a far more challenging game than Hull and Castleford at home. Go to Craven Park is always going to be tough. But I just think
we're not laughing at you, Dave. We're laughing at Greg's comments in the chat. So.
Yeah. In terms of Wire 9-17, I'm going to go Wire 9-17. I think this could be a game where the likes of Vaught, I think the forwards are in good form. I think Harrison's in good form. I think the forwards might lay the platform. And what we're seeing about Warrington this year is when it does go out to the edges, they're looking quite potent. So I might be wrong when I say that, but I'm going to go the Wire 9-17. So those were the predictions in Super League Raw Weekly. Super League Raw Weekly every week, 8 p.m. live on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. So just to confirm, these were the predictions. Gary Schofield, he's gone the way of Hull KR 9-17, as too has Joel Scholes 1-8. The fans forum, they voted in their droves for this one, 1-8, the Robins, they see it. As for myself, I'm going the Wire 9-17, Greg going the Wire 1-8, and Steph Sale is also going the Wire 1-8. One of the key battles in all of these games is always the forwards. These are the forwards that we expect to be starting on the field and be coming off the bench for Hull KR. George King, Jesse Sue, Jai Whitbread, and Sam Luckley is who we've selected on this one. 305 metres this foursome tend to run in each game this season. 305 metres, 16 tackle busts as well between them. Compare that to the Warrington Wolves, 377 metres with 19 tackle busts this season. So the advantage appears to be to the Warrington Wolves middle unit, and that could be quite crucial in this game because, of course, that will create the space for the likes of Leon Hayes and Mikey Lewis. So maybe, just maybe, Warrington there an early advantage. Of course, once the ball does go out to the edges, well, there's not really an awful lot that separate these two sides. We put Evans in this graphic alongside Opachik, Gildart and Ryan Hall. 384 metres these average a game with 3 tries thus far this season. Compare that to the Warrington Wolves, 366 metres, just a little bit less, but they have scored 1 try more. If Connor Renge comes back into the side for Stephen Ratchford, you can add another try to that. It would be 5. So, yeah, Warrington very much the advantage, very in the forward line. In the back line, very, very even indeed between these two sides. As always, we're now going to go to the coaches. No footage of Sam Burgess, but we've got his words for you. But we have got the words starting with Mr. Willie Peters, who has been talking about the likes of Peter Hiku and his thoughts on the Warrington Wolves.
The reason, a big part of the reason last week of playing Joe was playing against his old club. You know, I'm a coach that I know players enjoy playing against their old club, and you know, it's a good opportunity for them. So that was the reason, you know, of picking Joe last week, just to give him that opportunity to prove himself in our 17 and to play against his old club, as you know we all like doing back in many years ago. But every player enjoys playing against their old team.
Going back at what you just said there, is that we've done this year is we've said we want to improve on last year, we want to go beyond what we did last year. But we've stripped it back and looked at what got us into those positions, like you were saying then. You know, we can't overlook what we do on a week-to-week, on a day-to-day basis. You know, and we're not trying to do the same stuff that we did on a day-to-day basis last year. We're trying to improve what we do on a day-to-day basis and as habits inside and outside the club when we're away from the club. Because if we can improve what we're doing every day, then we'll improve as performances every week, and the improvements on the outcomes of the season, they'll take care of themselves.
Oh, they've got a really good team. There's no doubt about that. My mate's coaching the team, Sammy, who I've got a lot of respect for, and he'll do really well at Warrington. But yeah, they've got a well balanced team. You know, they've got good halves, they've got some balance there. They've got the young kid coming through, but obviously, you know, we're expecting George to come back this week. You know, they've got good middles. Paul Vaughan's playing extremely well. Fast wingers. You know, Toby King's a handful. So you know, you've got players that are all over the park. But for us, like, you know, after the back of the weekend, we need, and all we're going to concentrate on is what we can do, and do that well. We're back at home. We're really looking forward to playing back in front of our home fans. You know, the East stands are sellout again. We're looking to sell the rest, so it's possibly another sellout for the club. So yeah, we just want to give our fans something to cheer about, and you know, we respect Warrington, but not worrying too much about them. Yeah, look, it's going to take better time. There's no doubt about that. I've spoken last week. He's a different type of fullback. I mean, he likes to run, and he's going to be up there with run meters, and that's what you need from your fullback. He's got a strong carry on him and gets you quick play the balls, and that's what he was aiming to do. You know, when he got penalised, you know, it was 100% should have been our penalty. There's no doubt about that. So that's what he can offer, but he can also offer. He's a classy player in terms of you know, silky skills, but you're not going to see that at the moment with the conditions. It just doesn't favour. I mean, you look at any or most spines in the competition, but individuals, there's no one that's standing out, you know, except for on the weekend, like guys like Mark Sneed, the game managers, the guys that know how to manage a game. Kicking games are really, really important at the moment. So they're your sort of standouts. But, you know, I mean, Matt Duffy had a really good game on the weekend, but it's one of those where those type of players are going to be better, you know, as the fields get a bit harder and the sun comes out.
Well, he mentioned both of these players, and we agree with him. We believe these two fullbacks are in sensational form in the 2024 Betfred Super League. Both have played 3 games. Both have scored 2 tries. Matt Duffy has set 2 up on top of that. Look at the bus, 18 tackle busts this season for Matt Duffy thus far. That is quite sensational. 8 for Petter Hiku. The breaks as well. Duffy gone through the line on 3 occasions to 1, but the meters go in the favour of Petter Hiku, 470 metres to 4.54. There's no question these two players outstanding at their craft coming out of fullback. But what was interesting for me about that interview with Willie Peters, again, we're hearing coaches talking about when the track dries up. And of course, playoff rugby league is at the back end of the season. It always makes me scratch my head a little bit that, yeah, when we get into the summer months, yes, we do see more expansive rugby. You see a faster brand of rugby. But, you know, if Hull KR, the likes of Hull KR, Warrington, Catalan, these teams that have never gone to a grand final and won it, if they're ever going to win it, they need to be better. You know, this, for me, is the perfect time to be showing your acumen for the latter end of the season. And I've never quite understood why that is a big problem. Yes, Sneedy was outstanding against Hull. We saw Lewis Dodd have a good game. You know, he's right in saying that it's about game management to the likes of Harvey Smiths. But if you want to win a grand final, you've got to be playing well now as well as in the summer months when it's dry, because come the playoffs and the grand final, let's be fair, these are pretty much the conditions they're going to have to be playing. But this battle between Hiku and Duffy against Castleford was absolutely superb. His statistics were through the roof. Unbelievable. He was picked in our team of the week this week, and rightly so. And as for Petter Hiku, as good as he's been with ball in hand, he has been given 2 yellow cards now this season for dissent, and that's got to be a concern for Willie Peters. He did address it as part of that interview. If you want to go and see the full Willie Peters press conference, go over to Hull KR's YouTube channel. You'll be able to see it in full. He does talk about, you know, the lack of discipline there, and he was a bit disappointed with Petter Hiku in terms of those 2 yellow cards. Yeah, get yourself over once you finish watching this to Hull KR TV on YouTube and check out Willie Peters' full interview. He also talks about the NRL in that, what happened at the weekend, of course, in Las Vegas. So yeah, Hiku, Duffy, I think these two are going to be really pivotal to the game, as are the hookers, the number 9s. These are the four men that, again, may have a massive say in the way this game goes. Four quality number 9s as well. Two emerging ones in Litton and Walker, and of course two elder statesmen of absolute pedigree in Parcell and Powell. And as you can see through the stats, it does actually edge a little bit towards Hull KR. This both combinations have scored 2 tries. Both combinations have assisted 1. The tackle bus going the way of Hull KR. Of course, Jez Litton really quick out of dummy half. So too's Danny Walker. We haven't seen that as much as perhaps we thought we would have done at this part of the season from Danny. But Jez Litton has been in superb form. Jez Litton was picked as our bench hooker in our team of the month for February. Such was his form in the first 2 games for Hull KR. Real quality performances in their first 2 games. Dummy runs, no real surprise, very close. We know Parcell and Litton and Walker especially like that little dart from dummy half. Powell, a little bit of a different type of hooker, a bit more of an organiser, a bit more conventional than the other 3, which at times is a good thing for Warrington to have that shift. Whereas I do think Parcell and Litton very similar, but brilliant players on their day without any question whatsoever. Right, I mean, look, it couldn't be bigger, could it? It could be better. We've got great players on the field of play. Ryan Hall, it's a matter of time before he gets the all-time Super League record for try scoring. Will he get further towards that mark in this game? Possibly. You've got 4 really good centres on the field. I mean, Opachik, for me, real quality. Gildart's been there and done it. Could be Ratchford, it could be Renge. And of course, Toby King last year was sensational for Wigan, wasn't he? We've already mentioned the fullbacks. The halfbacks, we haven't even really talked about George Williams. If George Williams is back, we know what George Williams can bring. And of course, Tyrone May has been in, reasonably good form. He's not hit his peak yet, but Tyrone May has been really assured. And what about the back rowers? I mean, the back rowers in this. I mean, if you think of the edges, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, if the back rowers, and again, bags of riches for both sides. We do expect Lachlan Fitzgibbon and Curry to be in the second row for Warrington with maybe Geordie Crowther at the back. That's the selection we've gone for. But if you go across to Hull KR as well, real quality players there. Dean Hadley, James Batchelor, could be Kalepi Tanganoa, real quality on the edges. And then how could we forget Elliot Minchella at loose forward for Hull KR? They're just quality superstars of rugby league all over this pitch at 8 p.m. tonight on Sky Sports. It should be a belter. Last year, they served up 2 very tight, intriguing games. They really did. They've always had good battles, Hull KR and the Warrington Wolves. Let's hope that this is going to be another one, befitting of the opening game of round number 4 and sets the benchmark for others to follow throughout the weekend. You can tell I'm loving Super League this season. I think we're on for a great year. I think we've seen some great tries already, and there's some real blockbusting games as well as this game of the week for you to enjoy this week. Make sure, if you can't go into a game, to check them out throughout the weekend on Sky Sports. Right, let's take a look at what the bookies have got to say in closing for this game. And as we've already said, the match odds 8-13 in favour of Hull KR. Warrington 7-5. Tell you what, if you like a punt on a first try scorer, of course, do bet responsibly. 9-1 for both Ryan Hall and Matty Ashton. That's an interesting one, isn't it? If you think that there's going to be a 13-point plus margin between these, it's 23-10 if you're Hull KR. 11-2 for Warrington. Bit of value there. If you really do fancy the Warrington Wolves for this one, 11-2, that's pretty generous odds, considering not much really separates these 2 teams thus far in 2024. And of course, Warrington had the advantage last season in both games. So yeah, 11-2 there for Warrington. And finally, to win both halves, for a team to win both halves, 23-10. Hull KR. The bookies really fancying KR to play well in this one. Warrington 9-2. Interesting, isn't it? Really interesting. The scene is set. There's no doubt about that. Absolutely cannot wait for this one tonight at 8 p.m. Make sure you're there for it. We will be back for another edition of Game of the Week. Don't go anywhere, because on the outro of Game of the Week, we'll let you know what other things are available to you from Super League Raw over the next couple of days. But we hope you've enjoyed Game of the Week. Has that helped you decide? Is it going to be KR? Is it going to be the Wire? Well, there's only going to be one way to find out. Get yourself down to the Seal Group, Craven Park this evening for the kickoff at 8 p.m. And if you can't travel on a Thursday night, then make sure you get your beers, you put your feet up, and you enjoy some fine rugby league courtesy of Sky Sports. The Wire are on the way to the Robins, and we can't wait. We'll see you next week for more Game of the Week.